Previously on the Brandon Schoenborn YouTube channel, I blew up my Duramax 4 hours from home.
Got a bit of a problem.
That's right, put a hole right through piston number 7. So when the truck was delivered to the house, we got it all stripped down, and now we just need to refresh it with some new goodies and get this thing slapped back in the truck. Well, I thought I could get a socket on the bolt behind the oil pan, but turns out I can't. So I went ahead, pulled the engine off the stand, gave it another attempt with my breaker bar, trying to get them flex plate bolts off, and I just made a massive mess. I can't get them. I've flooded my shop with coolant and oil all over, everything now, including my hoodie, soaked my pants, and I've been using this big breaker bar with my jack handle, like a little extension on it, and I can't get them to budge at all. I mean, these things are torqued to like 750,000 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna try a big impact, but I think I might need a 3/4 inch or even a 1 inch impact to get them things off. In the meantime, I wanna get this truck pressure washed. There is oil and all sorts of crap all over my diff and everything that sits under the engine. So I'm gonna break out the pressure washer, get that cleaned up. Got the diff looking a whole lot better along with all the subframe components. Is it perfect? No, but I can get this cleaned up a little bit more with some brake clean and some rags, do the best I can, and then we can touch up whatever needs to be touched up. Got back in the garage ASAP. My neighbor has, I kid you not, 550 dogs over there, and they drive me ballistic. My patience level goes from like a 6 to a 2 within seconds. So I'm just gonna wait until Monday, and hopefully that impact can rip those flex plate bolts off. If not, I don't know. I need a huge impact, and I don't think I can rent one of those at a parts store, and I really don't wanna buy like a 1 inch impact to use it one time. Well, took home a 3/4 inch air impact from work today with a 3/4 to 1/2 inch reducer on it. So hopefully we can use this to get those flex plate bolts off. So let's get the engine back on the crane, see what we can do. I found another 3/4 inch drive, this one being cordless. We're gonna give this a shot. Same adapter and everything to reduce it to 1/2 inch for my 14 mil socket. But I'm waiting on Phil to get here. I'm gonna give him the honor of hopefully ripping these things out. I did wear my lubrication expert little shop shirt vest thing today. Hopefully just for, you know, the positive vibes, because we kind of went through a lot of our resources here and we still can't get a single bolt out. So hopefully this helps.
Ugly Duck ain't doing it. A 3/4 inch drive ain't budging it.
No.
Honestly, I figured we were gonna come over and put this on it and they were just gonna back right out.
We're gonna have to use the leverage method, but wow. Disregard the dog barking in the background. He doesn't like when I have friends over, but we ended up getting it off with the breaker bar and a jack handle. I was just holding the engine from moving in the crane, and then Phil muscled the thing out of there. So now we just gotta order new ones, because obviously these are stretched beyond Bolivian. Bolivian? Is that a word?
I don't know. Yep, she's out.
Moving on to getting a new piston in the block. Now, obviously this is the old piston and rod, and something I learned today is that these rods actually have a fractured surface where it mates with the rod cap. Now, I initially looked at this and thought it was completely broken, and I was about to order a new one, but then I looked it up on the forums, and sure enough, it's actually designed like this. And I guess it allows for a stronger, mate to the rod. And yeah, it also eliminates the worry of putting the rod cap on backwards or on a different rod. But yeah, I guess they are designed like that instead of being machined completely flat to mate better. So pretty cool. Learned that today. Now what we need to do is get the wrist pin out of the rod and get the piston separated. And then I'll pull all the rings off and plop this thing on a scale, plop the new piston on a scale, and hopefully they weigh just about the same. Otherwise, we'll have to figure something out. That way we can keep the engine in balance. The good news is the two pistons weigh exactly the same. The difference in weight is with the wrist pins, and I can visually see it. The hole bored through the middle of the new wrist pin is a little bit tighter than the hole bored through the old wrist pin. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just running the old wrist pin with the new piston. Now, yes, these do weigh the same, but this one, remember, we do have a hole blasted through it as well. And while it's really small, I doubt it'd make much of a weight difference, maybe a gram or two max. So still, running this with 10 grams more on a wrist pin would be a much bigger difference than running this piston with the same wrist pin. So, little tricky. I was kind of hoping that everything would be the exact same, but it's not. And yes, I could probably bring the new wrist pin to the machine shop and they could bore it out and make them weigh exactly the same. But there is literally nothing wrong with the old wrist pin. There's no scoring and everything seems perfect. So I don't see an issue with running that. We know it's the exact same weight, and I don't think it would cause any issues. Now we can move on to setting piston ring end gap. However, there was a small issue we found when unboxing the new piston rings. Well, it's now a few days later. Let me show you guys what caused a delay. When I pulled the piston rings out of the box, I noticed that the second compression ring was in two pieces, so that's not gonna work. And also the wrist pin retainer clips, the new piston didn't include any new ones, so I actually lost one of the old ones, so I couldn't get this thing together. But after reaching out to the company, it appears they sent us a replacement. Here are the new rings, and as you can see, it is in one piece, so that is good news. Now, they didn't send the wrist pin retainers, but after searching the shop for at least an hour, I did manage to find the other one, so we'll just reuse those. Should be good to go. My goal was to set the piston ring end gap to the specifications in the top right corner of the screen. However, these were already gapped a little bit bigger than that from factory, but nothing past the upper limit to the point where we would need new rings. Now, using this guide from the Master Duramax book, I got the piston rings installed on the piston exactly where they need to be. It's now time to get the rod connected to the piston and get it all ready to drop into the block. I tend to use a little bit of ATF on the cylinder wall as it's a little bit thicker than oil, and then we can go ahead and drop the piston in. Now, I am using a Harbor Freight piston ring compressor, which I don't recommend, but I kind of spaced ordering a new one, so that's what we had. With the piston rod now in the cylinder, we can go ahead and get the rod cap on. Now, this can only go one way because of how it has a fractured brake on it. So we're gonna get some assembly lube on the rod bearing, and then I have two new bolts from GM as well that we'll slap in there. And then my buddy David from Speedworks lent me his snap-on torque wrench, and this can do torque to angle. So let's get these things in. These bolts will get torqued to 47 foot-pounds, and then 30 degrees, and then one more round of 30 degrees to finish it off. The short block is now back together, and what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and get our upper and lower oil pan back installed. I'm gonna clean everything up best I can, and then I do have some AC Delco RTV that we're gonna be using. I believe this is the stuff they use from the factory, if I had to guess. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use that for both pans, and then our lower end should be good, and then we can focus on heads and everything else up top. Like everything on the bottom side of this engine, these oil pans were absolutely coated in oil. So I took the pressure washer, blasted them off, and they came out looking a whole lot better. Oil pans are now installed, so next thing on the to-do list is to clean up the block surface. And if you're a true OG and watched me do head gaskets on this truck the last time, you know this is my method. We got some PB Blaster, shaving cream, paper towels, and a 1000 and a 400 grit whetstone. And essentially what I'll do, I'll fill these two holes up top with paper towels, and I can fill any of the cylinders with paper towels as well. And then I'll take the shaving cream and fill all of the coolant ports. I'll fill around the edge of the cylinder walls. I'll fill around the edges here. And that way, when we go to pull the paper towels out, all the shaving cream collected any little metal dusting that might have fell on it, anything like that. And we'll be able to scrape that shaving cream out, clean it all out, and then we should have a cleaned up deck on our engine block. And then I just use the PB Blaster to keep the whetstone wet, and I will be using this lengthwise. I'll start with the 400 grit, and then I will do the 1000 grit to finish it off, and just use the weight of the block. Don't put any pressure on it. You don't want to scratch anything. You're essentially just wanting to clean off any crap that might be on the surface, and you should be good.
Did you find a way to run from the city of the sun? You could have stayed, it's only over when the day is done. I never knew you was a runner, yeah. I mistook you for the sun. It don't matter what we think when it's all over.
And that's pretty much it. You can see the surface looks a lot cleaner. Now the last thing I'll do is just spin the engine over a little bit, get around the pistons the best I can, and we should be good on this side. I gotta do the same thing on the other side, and then we're gonna swap out the CP4 pump before I get the heads on, just because there's a little bit more room right now. What's weird about this CP4 is that some of these bolts are already loose. Now this is just a timing cover bolt. This one goes to the CP4. This CP4 bolt isn't even in there, and I've never messed with this at all. Now, a long time ago, before I was, YouTube certified mechanic, I had this timing cover replaced by a diesel shop out in Spokane. And yeah, you can definitely tell they went super heavy on the RTV, but didn't tighten all the bolts. In fact, there's quite a few of them on the timing cover that aren't tight. And you can definitely tell down here, it's been leaking. So, unfortunate. But I'll go ahead and tighten all these up. And then we'll just have to find some new bolts for the new CP4. That way we know everything is at least tight. With the new CP4 pump installed, I went ahead and started prepping the heads to go on the block. They had to be completely reassembled since they were disassembled to go to the machine shop. That means new RTV on the intake manifolds, new gaskets on the exhaust manifolds, and everything had to get torqued down prior to getting placed onto the engine. I then cleaned everything up and then dropped the head gaskets and heads onto the block. Everything was then torqued in this sequence from 60 to 90 to 125 foot-pounds. Got the heads all torqued down last night, so we are ready to move on. On the table, we got fuel rails, push rods, rocker arms, injectors. We got some stuff to do. So I've gone ahead, cleaned everything up. We're gonna get the rocker assembly installed. That way we can set our valve lash. And then we can get the valve covers on, get the long block closed up, and we can go from there. Now that the rockers are torqued down on both sides, I'm going to be using this little chart from Merchant Auto to adjust valve lash. So everything in red is going to be adjusted when cylinder 1 is in top dead center, and everything in yellow is going to be adjusted when cylinder 4 is in top dead center. And the lash is going to be set to 0.012, or for my millimeter boys, 0.3 millimeters. To get cylinder 1 in top dead center, we need to spin the balancer until the line on the balancer lines up with the line on the timing cover. You also need to watch the rockers above cylinder 1. If they were moving in the last 90 degrees before your two lines aligned, that means that cylinder 4 is in top dead center. If they were not moving, then cylinder 1 is in top dead center. Once cylinder 1 is in top dead center, we can use a feeler gauge to adjust the valve lash. Simply loosen the nut up on top and use a flathead screwdriver to adjust accordingly. You want just a little bit of friction on the feeler gauge, and then tighten the nut back down and you're good to go. When all red values are complete, we'll spin the engine over 10 times and make any necessary adjustments. Then we can get cylinder 4 in top dead center and knock out yellow as well. Now we can go ahead and get the valve covers installed. Typically it's just a metal gasket that goes around this. However, if you look closely, there's a little bit of scoring on the surface, and I don't exactly trust the metal gaskets to seal everything. So I am going to use a very, very light layer of RTV on the mating surfaces, and then the gasket in the middle, and hopefully we won't have to worry about any leaks. The last thing we want is for us to get this thing in the truck and one of these is leaking. This side in particular, this bolt in particular, is an extreme pain in the butt to get to when it's in the truck. Let's just say that. I have a special Allen wrench for that bolt specifically, but I don't like to use it. So I'm going to clean up the valve covers, get a light coat of RTV on them, and then we'll finish up this long block. Long block is now complete. We got both valve covers tightened down. We're good to go there. I'm gonna go ahead and refresh the seals on these injectors. We got all new O-rings, the small ones, these ones, and the coppers to replace that guy, and that guy. So we'll go through all the injectors, get those refreshed, and then we can go ahead and plop them down into the engine. Moving on to glow plugs. You can see this one here is quite a bit orange. It was like that when I pulled it out. So I have a brand new one to replace it. But other than that, I'm just gonna get some anti-seize on these threads, and then they'll go in these holes here and get torqued to 13 foot-pounds. Now we just need to dress the engine. We need to get all the little things on. The wiring harness, the fuel lines, the breathers, all the little clips, everything to get the engine complete and ready to drop in the truck. Well, our parts table is looking pretty slim, and that's because we have a complete Duramax engine. I know I kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but I just had to put the camera down, lock in, and get this thing finished. There's a lot of just little tedious stuff that's hard to show on camera anyways, and I think I started working this morning around like 10 a.m., and it is currently 1:34 in the morning. So, yeah, been going at it all day. My dog probably hates me. I got my buddy Phil coming over tomorrow to help me get this thing in the truck. He's coming over around 10 a.m. So I'm gonna get cleaned up, try to get some sleep, and then we gotta try to bear this thing back in the truck in the morning. So it's exciting, but also I'm exhausted. So hopefully everything's good on the engine. I really was super meticulous with this thing. Every single bolt and nut on this entire thing, whether it was a head stud or just some random bracket, I torqued to spec. So I'm just, yeah, fingers crossed, everything goes smooth. I did forget to order a fuel filter, so I'm gonna have to get one of those on order unless parts store near me has one. But other than that, should have everything to get this thing running. And now the time has finally come. The Duramax is getting its heart back, and everything was going pretty smooth until it wasn't. I know, I just don't. Oh, stop. My motor mount is spreading my oil pan right now. Oh, yeah, fuck.
Did it fuck it?
Yeah.
Tell me how much.
It's gotta come out.
Like all the way out?
Yeah.
No, don't say that.
Well, as we were putting this in, the oil pan, the lip of the oil pan right here got caught on the motor mount, and I could see it as we were lifting up the engine. It was pulling the oil pan down off, and now you can see we got a nice gap right there. So that ain't gonna work. Glad I saw that as we were messing with it, but we're gonna have to unfortunately pull this pan off and try to fix it, reseal it, and hope for the best, I guess, because right now that would be just spewing oil. Let's do this again, and this time it actually dropped in right where we needed it with no issues. So I'm gonna spend some time getting this thing buttoned up. Obviously we need the whole front end back on. We gotta connect all the wiring, get the coolant system all hooked back up. I think I still got 3 bell housing bolts to do. We got some grounds. So I'm gonna spend the next hour or two just trying to get as much as I can buttoned up. And then we just gotta drain the fuel tank, refill it with diesel, and then we should be able to start this thing. I also have a new fuel filter. We got new oil, new coolant, all new fluids. Transmission fluids, since we did drain a little bit out of the transmission cooler. All new fluids, so the hope is when this thing fires up, it is ready to go. Well, I was battling the rain yesterday, but we finished the front end of the truck. Now what I need to do is drain out all of the diesel fuel, which I'm going to attempt to use a transfer pump to suck it out of the filler neck and dump it in these 5-gallon buckets. I'm also replacing the drain plug and the oil filter underneath, however, having some technical difficulties. I've never not been able to get an oil filter off, and this one has only been on the truck. I replaced the oil filter before it went to Gatlinburg, and the truck blew up on the way home from Gatlinburg. So hasn't been on the truck very long, but that thing is like suction stuck to the oil filter housing or whatever you want to call it. So I just poked a hole through it. I'm going to try to stick a screwdriver through it and use it as kind of like a handle. But yeah, this is definitely a first, and it's not like I hulked it on there or anything. Yeah, very bizarre. I don't know if it's because of all the crankcase pressure or because I drained all the oil when the engine was out and never took the filter off. I have no idea. But all I know is the tool I have was just crushing the filter, and it ain't turning at all. So hopefully the screwdriver method works. But I'm gonna hook up this transfer pump while the oil is draining out of the filter and see if we can get as much diesel fuel as we can out, just in case there was any sort of sediments or water or something in there to cause the injector to get hung open. And there we have it. We got just about all 37 gallons out of the truck, got 35 gallons in the closed buckets, and then whatever was left in this dirty one. Now, while I was doing this, I did notice some dirt and other sediments filling in those buckets as we were pumping the fuel out. The buckets were perfectly clean, so it was really easy to tell. The truck has over 200,000 miles on it, so sure, over time, you're gonna get some sediments in there. And my guess is, you know, after we filled up, might have knocked one of them loose and it got through the fuel filter somehow and hung an injector open and blew the truck up. We'll never really know for sure. Never know if it was actually that fuel station that had the bad diesel. There was quite a bit of dirt, but yeah, we'll never really know. But either way, we're gonna go get some more diesel fuel, fill this thing up, and then we gotta top off oil, coolant, transmission fluid, try to get this oil filter changed out, and then we should be able to go for a first start. All right, we got a new oil filter, new fuel filter, topped off on coolant, transmission fluid, and oil, and I have about 22 gallons of diesel fuel in the truck. So I think it is time to crank this thing over, see if it'll start. Hopefully we don't have any issues. I did go ahead and prime the fuel system already, checked for any leaks. The only leak we had was coming out of the heater core line, a little bit of coolant, so I tightened that up. Should be good there. So fingers crossed. If it starts, I'm gonna shut it off instantly, check oil. Obviously there was no oil in the engine, so it's gonna take a little bit, and then we'll top that off, and then we can let it run. And hopefully we stay leak-free. There we go. We're alive. Oh, and she sounds good. Let's go. We do have an engine light, but my guess is that's just from prior. We just have to wipe it. Oh, we're so back. A bit of a leak. All right, I think I got the leak all worked out. It's just a fuel injector up here, that one right there. So easy access, thank gosh. But I think we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the coolant system, make sure we got no air bubbles, and then we should be good. The only thing I have left is to get the exhaust on. Right now I am open downpipe. Let me knock this out, I'll be right back. Well, there we have it, the Duramax is rebuilt. I'm actually super pumped with this rebuild because obviously I'm used to the 4 cylinders, the Subarus, the Evos, and so on. But to do the Duramax, first try, you know, pull the engine out, rebuild the entire thing from the short block up, get it back in the truck, have, what, 2 little leaks that were easy to work out. And other than that, the truck works flawlessly. So I am super happy, really, really happy because I'm gonna have my truck back, which is my daily driver. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this rebuild, and I guess I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace out. See y'all later.